WAWR.com and Halftime Pizza proudly present WaraWeek Radio Chats with ring announcer and commentator Joseph Heron.
Guys, welcome. Excuse my voice right now, but excuse me. It seems that on the last show, boy, I really went off on young Mr. Ryan Garcia. And well, you can hear what it did to my voice. So nonetheless, I won't be screaming on this episode. And we'll be taking a look at giving you an in-depth preview of Canelo versus Ryder. We'll also be talking about, and once again, the title of our WaraWeek Radio Chats episode tonight. It's Will Canelo Ryder resemble Chavez Haugen back in 1993? Now, obviously, if you guys remember, it was in front of, now obviously the crowd won't be as big, right? On that night, Chavez, an undefeated Chavez, boy, he packed that stadium with 132,000 spectators, right? Haugen was talking about, well, yeah, I'm tough. He's never faced a guy like me. Haugen from Vegas, right? Greg Haugen. Yeah, what he didn't realize, though, was that, boy, it's something different to fight in Mexico, at least back in 1993. Obviously, since the advent of internet and social media, the world's gotten smaller, seemingly. But back then, the Mexican fight fans were ferocious. They treated Haugen like dog poop all week leading up to the fight. Even claiming that people were throwing bottles of piss at him when he was leaving the ring, right? And so that got into the head of Greg Haugen, ostensibly. And obviously, Chavez, well, he's an all-time great. One of the best inside fighters and aggressive-minded fighters this sport's ever seen. And yeah, the result was a fifth-round knockout. So is that what Ryder has to look forward to? Well, we'll see. There's a lot of factors that go into this. And once again, not just fight film, but if you're studying fight tape on this, this is quite possibly... Now, if Ryder fights like John Ryder, who is an aggressive-minded mid to short-range fighter, throws very good combinations on the inside, a tough man, always in great shape, right? But, boy, this is tailor-made for Canelo Alvarez, and there's no reason why. There's a good reason, then, why Eddie Hearn really wanted this fight. Now, we're going to go into, in a little bit, the, well, pros and cons of staging this pay-per-view in Mexico, Guadalajara, Mexico, right? And it really stinks, the nature of pay-per-view, right? Like a couple weeks ago, we just saw Gervonta Davis versus Ryan Garcia. Huge event. And once again, guys, it's the people, the real bosses of boxing, the paying customers that determine whether or not a fight is a big-time event. If everyone deems it a super fight, then yes, it's a super fight, regardless of what diehards and critics may say. If that's what they think, then that's exactly what it is. Guys, once again, in the business of boxing, and once again, it's run just like the motion picture industry as well as the music industry. Yeah, perception quickly becomes reality. Whether it's true or not, that's beside the point. Perception becomes reality, guys. So before I move forward, let me go ahead and greet a couple of friends in my chat. Sid UK says, Canelo is levels above these dossers. He's a throwback fighter who actually fought good competition regularly and active too, unlike 90% of these diva bitches nowadays. Yes, I said that. Quoting James Gogi, glad you're here, Sid UK. You're always insightful, brother. And I hope you enjoy all the festivities tomorrow night. And I also want to give a big shout out to my brother Tycho TV. Salute, Joseph Heron. I hope all's well, brother. Well, I tell you what, as soon as my voice feels better, it will be much better. But thank you, my friend. Always good to see you here. Also, and G Funky knows why my voice is so torn up today. Greetings to you, my friend. It's very good to see you here, brother. And yes, when I get on a roll, it's hard for me to stop. I went from screaming about Ryan Garcia for 2 hours and then talked your head off for another hour off the air. So anyway, brother, thank you for being here. It's good to see you, my friend. Guys, if you haven't already, please go subscribe to my brother G Funky. Always great stuff. Brings integrity back to boxing reporting. Thank you, brother. Also want to give a big shout out to my brother Bruce, Gas Boxing, Jazz, and more. Always great stuff on Bruce's channel. He's such a great historian. And, you know, if you have your headphones, please, guys, click the link. Bruce, you would have a lot to add with Canelo Ryder. Will it resemble Chavez Haugen in 1993? Right? Yeah, there are a lot of similarities, I think, going into this fight. But we'll see, guys. Once again, there are a lot of variables that are terrible style matchup on paper for John Ryder. Great style matchup for the fans. But will it play out that way? Once again, we have to consider a lot of things. But if you guys have your headphones, please click the link. Would love to share the air with you tonight so I don't have to talk as much as I usually do. Chingao, man, I'm starting to sound like Kim Carnes and Kenny Rogers. Holy cow. Geez, I'm dating myself now. Do you remember that song back in the 80s, guys? Betty Davis Eyes? Yeah, that's what I'm starting to sound like, right? So anyone have their headphones, just click the link. Please join me. Thank you. I also want to give a shout out to my brother Tony Boswell. Much respect. WaraWeek Radio Network and the chat. Stopped in to show support and hit the like button. Yes, please, guys. Please hit the like button if you haven't already. And thank you, Tony. It's good to see you, my friend. Also want to give a shout out to my brother EJ Electrojed. Oh, brother EJ, you're a sight for sore eyes, my friend. Straight to the point as usual. Should be a good show tomorrow. Speaking of which, guys, I'm going to be, hopefully my voice feels good enough, up to snuff. I'm going to be calling the action tomorrow with a very special guest. No, Ronnie said he's got something else with his wife planned. So he asked El Capitan for permission. She said no. So we're going to have a special guest tomorrow calling the fight with me. So if you guys stay tuned for that. But EJ, if you have your headphones, please click the link. Thank you, sir. I also want to give a shout out to my brother Hyvee. Brother, it's good to see you, my friend. Also want to give a shout out to my brother Peter Von Arx. Good evening to you, sir. Happy Friday, brother. I hope everyone is geared up for this weekend's fight. And it's funny, guys, the nature of pay-per-view. And this didn't used to be this way. But now whenever it's a big-time event, a super fight, and the fans deem it that way, right? Often it doesn't live up to the potential. It doesn't live up to billing. And it's a shame because a couple weeks ago we had Gervonta Davis versus Ryan Garcia. Huge event, highly anticipated by probably the largest mainstream and casual audience that we've seen turn out for a fight in quite some time. And it didn't live up to the hype in terms of action. It was very disappointing, especially for the Ryan Garcia fans, but they're two counterpunchers posturing and waiting for the other guy to commit, right? That was it. But guys, at this time, I'd like to welcome my brother, EJ. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, Joseph. How you doing, brother? How's
Oh,
the chat doing?
doing well, other than my voice. But yeah, I'll still have to go on, man, to talk about.
I feel you. I'm going through the same thing or similar.
Oh,
I feel
brother.
you. I feel your pain. Trust me.
Oh man, I'm sorry you're having to endure your ailments as well, brother. But God bless you, and you always be in my prayers, man. And
I
hey, we'll be
appreciate that.
talking while you're here. We'll be talking about and get your rundown of Haney versus Lomachenko. I know you're going to be at that fight.
Yes, I am.
Great job, man. Great job getting those tickets and supporting your beloved boxing, man. But
Yeah, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna see if I can get a couple interviews here and there. But I might be throwing up a bunch of shorts. You know,
oh yeah.
I might be throwing up shorts during the match. See what happens.
Well, when you say that, I'm a musician, and when I envision throwing up shorts, I know
No,
what you mean. But I'm like, you know what? That hasn't happened to me since I was in my 20s, man.
good one. Good one.
Oh, Chingao. So, guys, if you came in late and didn't hear the intro music, it is, if you could, rewind, whatever. If you listen to the replay, it's actually my son, his band, Roshi, Roshii. You can find him on Spotify, YouTube, everything. And they're putting out a new release. We're just remastering it, and it should be out in 3 weeks. So if you want to get a sample of it, go ahead and listen to the intro. But yeah, man. Also want to give a shout out to my brother Kamikaze. It's good to see you here, my friend. I conversed with him over the phone on G Funky show, and yeah, very good to have met you that day, and thank you. It's nice of you to migrate over here as well as from G Funky show. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And on that show, I actually did my Ozzy Osbourne impression at the tail end of it. Yeah, I sing a mean Ozzy, not right now, obviously, but I also want to give a shout out to my brother Boxing Historian. Salute to you, my friend. Long time no see, brother. Good to see you. If you guys have your headphones, please click the link on top. I'll share it again because, yeah, we've got a lot to talk about, guys. And once again, your thoughts on this matchup, brother. And do you think it was a good idea for Eddie Hearn? And I understand the business of it, and I'll go into all of that. But yeah, there's good and bad for putting this fight in the mountains of Mexico, Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico. Do you think this was a good idea? I know it's Cinco de Mayo week.
What's the altitude? What's the altitude?
It's over 5,000. So it's like
it's thin air. It's
yes.
Well, I think shouldn't I do believe that Canelo is used to that.
Well, he trains in San Diego. That's sea level. But for this fight, he went over there well over a month in advance and was training in that high altitude. Now, unfortunately, the brain trust of John Ryder, they came over They came over to America to end their training, try to get used to the time difference, which is no big deal. It's only a 6-hour time difference from where he resides. That's not a big deal. But what is a big deal? He doesn't train in the high altitude, and he went to LA to finish his training. In my opinion, that's a huge mistake.
Listen, if nobody understands how high altitude works, the air is much thinner. Okay, you have to exert a lot more energy. Your muscles and your lungs are more oxygen deficient. So you have to your body needs to acclimate to that height. Being able to your body needs to adjust to that height and that climate that's up there because the air is so thin. And the only reason I know about it is because I live in Albuquerque and we're a mile high.
That's it. And once again, you're absolutely right because going and covering fights in Albuquerque special events as well as Denver, Colorado. Yeah, even when you're not prize fighting, Yeah, well, you suck in a lot of wind when you're walking around enjoying the sights.
Yeah.
But guys, at this time, I'd like to welcome my brother, TBH. Good to see you, my friend.
Oh,
Hey,
what's up, TBH?
was good, Joseph? Was good, Electro Jet? I'm on the bus coming home.
Oh,
And
right on, man. Right on, brother. How is your life right now? And it's good to see you. I haven't heard from you in a while, brother.
oh yeah, I took a back seat from speaking boxing for a second, but I'm getting the itch to get back into it. Looking like a decent year in boxing. So
Now, once again, when you say decent year in boxing, and we're going to enjoy a lot of big events, big time events. We already have, including, to the dismay of most critics, the biggest commercial hit boxing has had since. I mean, when you talk about a real prize fight with two highly ranked fighters, even if it's at a catchweight, and yes, turned out to be a one-sided mismatch, it looked like. But commercially, it was the biggest pay-per-view event of a real fight since Canelo Golovkin 2, right? And we're going to see a lot more great events, right? Big-time events. But is this the same product? And once again, I brought up Chavez versus Haugen in 1993. It was a very different product back in 1993, wasn't it, TVH? So are we having to settle at the quality of product these days?
Well,
yeah,
to be completely honest, when you let uh, a fighter's popularity on social media affect um, a fight purse, and it affects the number of sales on a pay-per-view, yeah, there's something inherently wrong with that. I mean, some people would think it's good or great for boxing. I was a proponent of that at first, but it does a lot of damage, and here's how. The fight fans, the true fight fans, are going to be uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Disheveled? Is that the word? No, no. The true fight.
And I understand that. EJ. And it would seem that way initially, right? But I will tell you why most promoters and networks really couldn't care less about the opinions of diehard fans these days.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
unlike you, brother, who just purchased tickets to Haney Lomachenko, congratulations for that. It's going to be a great event.
Yes, it is.
And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But unlike you, most diehards, you talk to them, they've never even gone to a local event. And most of them are cheap bastards who try to hit me up and hit up the promoter for free tickets. Well, I've got this channel online. I'm a promoter. I talk about boxing all the time. Dude, do interviews with these fighters. Go show some love to these guys. Actually cover the event. Well, I just talk about the elite level matchups and the big time. Well, then why are you here?
Yeah.
Right. And most
put your money where your mouth is, man.
that's it. Most of these guys don't support the regional and club shows. Right. And they definitely don't buy pay-per-views anymore. Right. And when you look at the numbers, you said it was a large mainstream and casual audience, and obviously it was. Look at the sales between 1.2 and 1.4 million. I verified that.
Yeah, no, yeah, I verified
You'll look at that, even with compared to a lesser streaming network like DAZN, right? And they featured two marquee name fighters in September last year, right? In Canelo versus Golovkin. 3. Now, obviously, it was a fight that really no one asked for, but it was still two marquee names. They actually had two great fights before that, and you knew you were going to get a decent product, even though it resembled a night of bad sparring. But you look at those numbers in comparison, And boy, little 5'5" Gervonta Davis just dwarfed that. And that's why promoters and networks are looking to fund these bullshit YouTuber events. DAZN is actually making a killing from that and getting more subscribers than diehards these days in the American market. That's sad, but unfortunately, as soon as these diehards start financially supporting the sport that they supposedly love again, then you're going to see more of the same, guys. Just so if you don't love it, well, get used to it, because unless you financially support the product, nothing's going to change. Your thought on this, TBH, before we go back to EJ?
Well, I mean, I agree. Here's the thing. I agree to. I can see on both ends right now. You know, in my don't mind the background. I'm on the bus, but
No. Go ahead, as you were, brother.
Okay, yeah, yeah. No, the way I look at it, man, like, you know, in the climate that we're in, you know, of course, with the financial system that's about to change very soon. You know, I don't blame certain people for streaming fights at times. You know, other times, you know, I'll buy a pay-per-view fight, or, you know, support certain fighters locally and whatnot. But, you know, as much as I can. But it's like this. I mean, I think that whenever you're given what you want, you have to support it, because if you don't, you know, what you're doing is, you know, you can complain. It's like this. I can understand the complaints, because I complain about these fights not being made too, and, you know, the belts and, you know, everything that's going on. But when you are given the fights that you're given, and most of them, in my opinion, have been, you know, through Top Rank. But, you know, like, I mean, at the end of the day, that was a successful event with Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis. You know, you gotta support that. You know, you gotta do what you gotta do to support the event. I mean, at the end of the day, though, they do need to build up the undercard. But yeah, I mean, you have to put in money for things to change. And, you know, in boxing right now, I mean, I'm going to put more of that on the onus on the sanctioning bodies, you know, the promoters and whatnot. But, you know, the fans also have a play in this too. They got to demand what the fights they want, and they also have to support the fights that are made that they want. So that's how I look at it. I look at it on all ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, it's a very good point. And once again, it's very hard. Excuse me. It's very difficult to, well, criticize the long-suffering fans of the sport, right? Because this is the only pastime in the American market, especially, that fans are expected to foot the bill for every major event. So once again, I'm just telling you how it is. I'm not criticizing you. I completely understand. What I am criticizing, though, are these the guys that don't support the regional events in their own hamlet and around their area, right? That's what I'm criticizing. It's like, dude, you have a channel devoted to boxing. Go give these hungry young fighters some shine, right? What's wrong with that? No, you get to learn more about the sport. You get to know these hardworking fighters that actually put on great shows and risk their health for our entertainment at sometimes as low as $250 per round in a 4-round fight. And you get to be part of the show. You get to show these guys, and these promoters, they appreciate it. You do these interviews, do these videos with these young fighters. You get a press row seat. What's not to love about it? And these guys scoff at it. Oh, yeah. I only cover the big time events, the ones that are going to drive traffic on my channel. Well, you know what? Kiss my ass. because they are the lifeblood in terms of grassroots in developing the sport. And they are the unsung heroes of boxing. Look how many of these guys get paid by Top Rank to just be flown in as opponents, knowing that they're going to get their ass whooped and probably knocked out by one of their blue chip prospects. And these guys do it, well, just because they love the sport and they love being on center stage in that ring. I tell you what, before you go forward, man, let me just give a shout out to my brother, John McSmith. I ain't going to support crapola, okay? You can. Hey, brother, don't sing it. Bring it. Put on your damn headphones and get on this show. Speak your piece, brother. Because you seem to take exception with what I was saying a couple like last week. Let's hear what you have to say, brother. And once again, what's a meaningful endeavor in your mind? Are you one of those guys that always pine for the days of old? Oh, these aren't fights like we used to have. Well, hey, man, I feel sorry for you. I actually love the stuff that's going on now. I love the business. Yes. In my opinion, boy, why do you even still watch? If you don't like the product, you sound like one of those, I will say this. Once again, click on the link so we can talk about it like men. You sound like one of those terrible music fans of music that you used to know back in high school when you were kids, that used to shit on music in a band as soon as they hit the big time. Like I remember Metallica. They used to be an underground band back in the 80s. And then all of a sudden they came out with the Black Album and it hit the big time, selling over 10 million copies. You heard there's jerk-offs. Oh, yeah, I used to like them, man. They sold out. Their stuff ain't shit now. That's what you sound like, brother. That's what you sound like. Someone who has a negative perception and you think it's a more insightful and intelligent way of looking at things. Well, far from it, quite the contrary. Right? That's what you sound like. And here he is. Guys, for the first time on WaraWeek Radio Network, our brother, our friend, John McSmith. Oh, I'm so glad you're here to speak your piece, man. How are you doing? Happy Friday, my friend.
I'm fine, thanks. How are you, Joseph?
Well, my voice is a little torn up because of my rant against Ryan Garcia. Boy, I really let him have it. And that's the last time I'm ever going to waste my voice on a jerk off like that. So I'm sorry, brother. How are you? And what would be your retort with what I just stated?
Well, hey, listen, I missed part. I just came in having some dinner, and I missed most of what you said. But you did say one thing, and it made me chuckle when you talk about these 1.2, 1.4 million pay-per-views sold.
Yep.
And you said you just told your partner up there that you verified it.
Uh-huh.
And I had to laugh because you said over and over and over again on this program, Joseph, that they don't release true pay-per-view numbers.
Well, it's impossible.
I've heard you say that over and over again.
Yeah, it's impossible to at this time because when you rely, a good percentage, a healthy percentage of it is coming from the antiquated cable and satellite distribution method. It's impossible. Once again, these numbers are contingent upon the cable and satellite companies collecting the money. And with streaming being as popular, and this is what I was told, as streaming being as popular as it is today, you'll be surprised how many people will order a pay-per-view and then not pay a damn thing to their cable providers and switch to streaming. So it's impossible, but their estimation, and once again, I verified this from someone who actually works for Showtime, 1.2 to 1.4 million. So they're estimating that is the number. Now, they're not going to know it for now another several months, the exact number. And money's still going to be coming in that time. Now, once again, this channel is to explain the business of boxing so you guys have a better understanding as to why these things happen and why they don't. why some fights are made and why some aren't. That's why we're here. We don't sit here and argue about little bullshit like who's got the better resume, right? That's a bunch of nonsense and noise, and you can go to another channel if that's what you're looking for. But we're in this business. Guys on this channel are in this business. And we're here for you guys to have a much greater understanding of how this works.
Well, was there ever a time in this business where before the Don King, especially in Bob Arums of the world, where say you had a fight, you're a manager and you got a fighter, and I'm a manager and I got a fighter, and we get together and we say, hey, let's make a deal here. Let's make a fight. And we say, okay, we got a deal. Now we go hunt down a promoter to promote the fight. That to me seems like the natural sort of order of how things should go. That not this idea that you sign with a promotional company. People never did that before Don King, did they? Fighters never did that. Well, you sign with a guy and you've got a 2 or 3 or 4 fight deal with some promoter.
The way it used to be back in the 40s and the 50s, right? Now, when you're talking about the Don Kings and the Bob Arums of the world, now if you understand the history, there used to be only one title called the NBA. It changed its name to the WBA. That's the oldest title in existence. And back in the day, Frankie Carbo, Blinky Palermo, the mob controlled all the champions. So if you think that this is a new concept, think again. Because they controlled all the champions. And you know what? The promoters today learned all the tricks of the trade from the mob. Back then, if you had a fighter and you were a manager, and you were the number 1 contender, well, you got that fight, but the mob said, hey, you want this fight? You're going to have to give us options in your next 5 fights if you win. And if you lose, you're still going to have to give us options in your next 3 fights. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, I mean, I get it, man. It's the whole thing.
They still use those same tactics today, but instead of muscle, they use a pen. That's it. It's the same racket, brother. Nothing has changed.
Okay, that explains a lot then.
Yeah. Once again, these guys aren't that brilliant, and you know, the mob, for being as thuggish as they were regarded, right? They were very, very astute in their business dealings to put themselves in a position where they came out on top. Once again, they viewed the sport like they did Vegas. Like in movies, they will always show the mob like holding hostage the prize fighter's girlfriend. Oh, you go down in 6 or else you don't see her again. That never happened, guys. Because if they understood, just like the casinos, that if they basically rigged the game, rigged the fight, then fans would lose interest eventually. They would catch on and lose interest. In Vegas, you have a chance to win, but the odds are in their favor. Chances are, look at the size of their casino and look at the size of your house. Chances are you're not going to win big, but there is still that chance. They treated that the exact same way as boxing. Hey, you know what? We may lose this fight, but guess what? We're going to have options on the next 5 fights. So we come out on top. Win-win.
Right.
That's the way it is. And that's the way promoters are today. TBH, you had something to add, brother?
Yeah. Okay. I agree with it, pretty much everything you were saying. You know, of course, you know, it's factual about the NBA as far as the belts and that being converted to the WBC. Then I was
WBA.
thinking, WBA. Then WBC came around, and I think, I think even prior to the Queen, like in the establishment of the Queen Berries, it was NYSCA or something like that. But as far as the mob running boxing, I mean, I'm not going to say that they didn't do certain things. I'm not, you know, I can't confirm that. I can confirm that certain things with Sonny Liston, there was things that happened which led to his unfortunate demise. That, you know, I mean, I'm just saying, from the things I've heard, what's his name? Bob. Well, not Bob. What's the dude's name? The damn. What is his name?
Well, I will say this: there are indeed verified and documented isolated incidents, but they didn't happen nearly as frequently as everyone likes to believe. Just like the whole Don King thing. Oh man, I stopped watching. Don King ruined the sport. Bullshit. Boy, that was a guy. Now, he may have not treated his fighters all that well, but I tell you this, and once again, it's well documented from a lot of people, and I've verified this, that promoters back in the day, when you had a big casino fight, like Don King often did, he'd live like a king. This is your weekend. Soon as you would get that check, you would blow it at the crap table. Oh, hey, man, this is still your weekend. Yeah. You need to borrow some money. I'll lend it to you. They used to want to keep their fighters destitute and hungry. Right. So they would fight more frequently. I will verify that. But I will say this, though. Don King cared about the fans. Like, he worked his ass off to promote his fights, putting on great matchups. Very seldom on any of his big cards would you see one-sided mismatches. Right? You didn't see it. Don King genuinely cared about the fans, which is a lot more than I can say for a lot of promotional companies nowadays.
So what you're saying, Joseph, is that if I'm a promoter and I sign Saul Alvarez to like a 4-fight deal, it behooves me to put him in there against weaker competition because I can't afford to have him get beat. If I got him under a 4-fight deal, I can't have him go out there on his first 2 fights and lose both of them.
Well, here it is. Here it is, right?
Interest, right? You may
no.
lose.
They lose interest once again if you're in with cupcakes also. That's why it's a very, very tricky business, and you really have to think things through. And I'll tell you, one example is, I'll tell you why Eddie Hearn has put this event in Mexico. Because when you look at Canelo's year last year, it wasn't too good compared to the years that he had prior, right? One, he got his ass whooped by Bivol, and it wasn't really competitive after round 3 or 4. Right. And then he goes on to have a fight with the feared Gennady Golovkin. When Gennady Golovkin, boy, he looked like he was afraid to let his hands go. He was reading all the negative press. I guarantee you he didn't want to get knocked out. So you had one fighter fighting like he was scared, and the other, Canelo Alvarez, fighting like he was happy to see it. Never going for the jugular. Never. And that's not what we're used to seeing. So once again, if I'm Eddie Hearn and I'm looking at this, you know what? He deserves this. He's been in so many big-time events and faced a lot of, you look at how many champions he's faced over the past 5 years, right? And so he's like, well, this is his number one contender. Is it mandatory for the WBO? He's fulfilling that obligation to the WBO. This is a perfect style matchup for him. This is going to be great for him, his confidence, great for his fans. Let's do something for him and his fans as a stark reminder as to why they love this guy. And we're going to make it a big homecoming, even though he's running the risk. And you look at, is anyone buzzing about this? Not only is this a matchup that no one really wanted except for the WBO, this is still a great style matchup for the fans, but there's no buzz about it. And why? You put it in the high altitude, the mountains in Mexico, and how many big-time mainstream media outlets were willing to go there? So you run the risk of poor pay-per-view sales, but you're doing this for the confidence of your fighter. And once again, this is a guy who, did he earn this shot? Yeah, he earned this spot. He's a tough man, and he's a very good fighter.
Well, that's an interesting way to put it. That's a very interesting way to put that phrase that you just described, what they're doing. Is amazing to me, because
but that's because they understand. Look, Canelo desperately wants that Bivol fight.
They're doing exactly what I asked you to begin with, and that is they're putting their fighters in against weaker competition because they got them under contract. and they don't want him getting beat, and they don't
But
want to
look,
lose their fan base.
you're saying weaker competition, like John Ryder didn't
Ryder is
deserve
a
the
bum,
shot.
and he's gonna get hammered, and you know it. He's gonna get absolutely hammered by Canelo Alvarez.
Okay. Look,
The only
look,
hope
look,
that
look.
Ryder has is the fact that he's a southpaw. That's it.
Well,
He's got
hold
no
on.
other
Let
player
me
to look
ask
at.
you something. Let me ask you something. If you're a southpaw, what happens to your southpaw advantage when you close the distance and square up? It's gone. It evaporates. You can call him a southpaw on paper, but dude, that doesn't matter. He doesn't fight from mid to long range. Now, I'm going to ask you this. Seeing that Canelo's an inch shorter than he is, does he fight uncared? Because once again, like Canelo, John Ryder is in the land of big men. He's in the land of giants, where he's forced to close the distance and fight aggressively on the inside. Does he change that tactic against Canelo Alvarez tomorrow?
I doubt it. Fighters don't usually change. They don't have the skill set to change anymore. So whatever he is.
Most of them don't. They're not as well rounded usually as Canelo Alvarez
So
or
it's gonna
Gervonta
be,
Davis or someone of
it's
that
gonna
ilk.
be, it's gonna be lead rights from Alvarez all night long. And what I'm saying is, I don't get this about squaring up, and it takes your advantage away. Your hooks are coming from the different side, and so everything's opposite. And if you're not, these guys are coached up orthodox, and so there's always that little bit of advantage, even if you're on the inside, with the fight, with the punches coming from the opposite way, and that kind of thing. But
yeah, from mid to long range, that's true. On the inside, you're squared up, unless you're more responsible defensively, like Floyd Mayweather on the inside or James Toney, where you turn your body to the side. I've been watching fight tape on Ryder preparing for this preview, and he's never shown evidence of that. So once again, your southpaw advantage evaporates. It goes away, completely non-existent on the inside.
Well, it looks to me like he's got better footwork than Alvarez, which Alvarez is not saying a whole lot since Alvarez doesn't have much footwork. But it looks like his footwork's better. Is he going to be able to use that as an advantage? According to Gogi, it all starts with footwork. And I think Ryder's got a little bit better footwork. Well, I don't know if he's got a better jab, but he's got better footwork.
Well, he's got better footwork at times, but he has a really bad habit of lunging in from mid-range. Like we call them in the business crash test dummies. And you're going to see that tomorrow. He's going to unwisely lunge in because he understands that if he throws anything from mid to long range, Canelo, blessed with some of the best reflexes in boxing, he's going to be able to pick it off. So he's going to want to close that distance very quickly. And with the flat-footed Canelo, he won't have a hard time doing that, but a terrible habit of lunging in. Boy, you lunge in, what goes first? Your chin.
Yeah, ask Raleigh Romero when he lunged in against Tank Davis. But
that's it.
If with the southpaw though, if he can get that lead foot outside of Alvarez, that basically closes the distance. You're in range right there as soon as you get your lead foot outside.
Well, look, that usually, if you're fighting someone who uses the ring, like let's say Ryan Garcia versus Gervonta Davis, man, his footwork was atrocious. Never once did he get that lead foot on the outside to cut off that escape route, which tells me he didn't learn a damn thing from Coach Goosen. That's one of the reasons why I was so pissed off. I'm like, you got this guy who's one of the best mentors in boxing and has a reputation of adding new wrinkles to a veteran fighter. And you didn't learn a damn thing. He didn't display any improvement at all over 3 fights with Joe Goosen. I found the reason why. That's one of the reasons why I went off on that rant earlier this week, is because he spent only 2 days a week with Coach Goosen, focusing more on his conditioning and marketing. The marketing worked, the conditioning worked, he made shape, but against a guy who's well-rounded and is an elite level talent like Gervonta Davis, boy, he got his ass whooped. It was a domination from round 2 on.
Oh, yeah, I went the last time
hold on, I'm finishing my point.
Oh, okay.
Brother, John Ryder doesn't fight like that. Now, once again, he may, because he, came up with the limited amateur pedigree, but, he He's has a longer reach in this. He's an inch taller. That's why I'm asking you, does he actually fight more from mid to long range? I don't think so, just like you said it. But when you're talking about fighting from the inside, dude, that foot placement doesn't fucking matter, man.
Yeah, but you can't. That's not the way to beat Alvarez. You got to box him from the out. If you're not a good boxer, you're not going to beat Alvarez. You're not going to get on the inside, mix it up with that guy.
That's right. He's one of the best inside fighters in boxing. And why? If you're now, once again, I know you're smart. You look at the common variable that all of these fighters who gave Canelo or beat him, gave him serious problems, like Bivol, like Golovkin, Erislandy Lara, Floyd Mayweather Jr. What did all those fighters have in common? They had a very intelligent jab. And if you use that from mid to long range, it disrupts his timing and rhythm. He doesn't know when you're going to get off. That's the success that Tyson Fury just had with Deontay Wilder as well.
Yeah, it always works.
Froze him. That's the success that Alexander Usyk had with Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua didn't know when to get off. He didn't know when to let his hands go, and when he did, it was tentative at best.
And so, I'll tell you what. You brought up AJ and Usyk, and I use that as an example because that was some of the worst footwork against a southpaw that I've ever seen until I saw Garcia. And I watched the Garcia-Davis fight. The second time I watched it, I just looked at their feet. I just watched their feet for the whole fight. And Davis absolutely crushed that guy with his footwork. That's why he won that fight. He absolutely hit that guy with his feet, man. And you look up, and every time you see his feet, that he's got Garcia's beat, you look up and Garcia's taking a pounding.
No one took a pounding in that fight. There was very little action. I know what you mean, though. But yeah, you're absolutely right. If you don't even know, and once again, it looked like his only strategy was Ryan Garcia the other night. It looked like his only strategy was swing hard and hope that you hit something. And then when he got floored from being too aggressive, he turned into a very tentative shell of himself.
Yeah, he did. He got scared.
Miserable. And but you look at all the improvements and all the adjustments that Gervonta Davis was making. Once again, brilliant job with his lead hand, just pawing. And once again, that's an intelligent jab in mixing feints, touch jabs, and hard stab jabs in different intervals. Right?
That's right.
And it completely negated his biggest weapon, that left hook. That's how to do it. So what does John Ryder have to do to win this fight? Well, in my opinion, he's not going to, unless he becomes a boxer overnight. And you just said it. Yeah, he doesn't have the skill set or the he's not well-rounded enough. He's not a complete fighter where he can do that. You talked about he has better footwork. You're not going to see it unless he decides to use the entire ring and do what Derevyanchenko does in the pocket, which he doesn't know how, to give him different angles after you fire off a combination. Derevyanchenko is really proficient at that. But then again, he's got over 350 amateur fights with only like 16 losses, right? So what he likes to do is rattle off a combination and scoot around you, constantly shifting angles so you can't counter effectively.
Yes.
John Ryder does not know how to do that.
Lomachenko is also very good at that. That's what he's going to do.
He is brilliant at that. So is Alexander Usyk.
Right. And that, if you get a guy like that fights Alvarez, he might have a problem. But you're right. He just doesn't have that skill set, or at that level anyway.
No, he's not. And once again, though, far cry from being a bum, brother. Shame on you for calling a world-class fighter who works his ass off in the ring a bum.
Yeah, because I use
expected more from you, John.
I use this term bum and just as he's not a world-class fighter. He's not elite. And if you're not elite, and you don't have every tool in your toolbox and know how to use them, you're a bum.
Yeah, then just call him he's not elite. That's a much better term.
To me, Saul Alvarez is a bum. because he doesn't have
boy.
every tool in the toolbox. He doesn't have footwork and that kind of thing, because he just doesn't. He doesn't have the ability to if he has to box a guy. If he went against a guy that was a big hard time puncher, and you need to box the guy, Alvarez doesn't have those skills. See, he's lacking, and so he's
Oh boy.
He's a bum.
Oh
And
boy.
so,
John, you sound like if you truly believe an elite level talent, one of the best pound for pound fighters in boxing is a bum, then I'm going to ask you this in all seriousness. Why the hell do you watch the sport currently?
I love boxing, but there's certain.
You sure?
fighters that
You
are-
sure about that?
I mean, there's crappy teams in the NFL and the NBA and Major League Baseball. There's crappy teams. I still watch baseball. There's crappy fighters in boxing too. I still watch boxing.
Oh boy, brother,
So-
to make it in the major leagues, even the Cincinnati Reds and the Oakland A's are not crappy teams. No, they don't have the funding to have the big roster like the Yankees, the Braves, or the Dodgers.
Right.
None
So
of these
with a
teams,
bunch of
none of
players.
these teams are crappy, or else you would see them with records of 10 and 150. It's so difficult to win a single series, sweep a team, right? In the major leagues. Just like it's very difficult and impossible to go 16-0 in the NFL. Brother, you are flying. Dude, are you smoking something right now? Because once
Yeah.
again, at the world-class level, brother, none of these fights are easy. None of these fights are. This is why I encourage fans like yourself or other YouTubers, go down to your local gym, support some of these regional club shows, right? Regional shows. You will learn a lot more about the sport and have a greater appreciation of what these guys put themselves through for your fucking entertainment.
That's not why they do it, though. I keep hearing,
yeah,
I keep hearing that.
yeah, all right.
And you act like that. They want to entertain me. They do it for free, but they wouldn't do it for free because they're not interested in entertaining me. They're interested in that nice juicy paycheck they get for fighting.
Dude, let me tell you, this sport, once again, you'll learn more about the sport. This sport is about the haves and the have-nots. 99% of these brave souls that enter the ring for your entertainment don't make shit, and they have 9-to-5 jobs. They're the unsung heroes of the sport.
Who's
You,
got a
sir, need to
9-to-5
go
job?
learn more. Hold on. Welcome back to the show, brother.
Oh, it was good. Had to take a phone call.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, man. I'm sorry, as you were. Who's got a 9-to-5 job? Most fighters who haven't been signed to big-time promoters or gotten that fat bonus. They're forced to take jobs like normal people. And they do it.
95% of them.
Yep, more than that. You know what? They do it because they love it. And, it's hard to explain why. Because, brother, I can think of hundreds of ways to better my situation without taking shots to the head. They do it because, well, one, I truly believe most fighters are a little touched in the head to have to do this to make their living. Two, they do it because they love it. And if you ask most fighters, even ones at the club level, they will say, you know what? I didn't choose boxing. Boxing chose me. I don't know what it is. It's just like once again, it's run just like the music business. How many talented elite level musicians are there that don't make shit and just do it because they love it? So to sit here and listen to you call a guy like John Ryder, a world-class fighter, a bum, or Canelo Alvarez, who has fought so many champions in his career and is a complete fighter. Dude, you, sir, sound like you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
He's not a complete fighter. He doesn't have any footwork.
Okay.
And he doesn't know how to box. If he had to box somebody,
Oh,
he couldn't.
Jesus.
He doesn't have
Hey,
the
can I
footwork
ask
for
him a
the job.
question?
You know he doesn't.
Can I ask
Yes,
him
You
please
know
do,
that he doesn't
TBA,
have it.
because this guy, Chingao, hold on.
well,
TBA, hold on, hold that thought, brother. It's my
Yeah.
pleasure to introduce Budo Sound Central to the panel. Welcome
What's
to the
up,
show,
fellas?
sir.
What's up, Joseph? John, fucking BH. What up, fellas? Go ahead, keep cooking.
yo, what's up?
I'm sorry, as you were, TBH, because I'm starting to get a little miffed right here. And dude, that's what you wanted, wasn't it, John?
Now, hey, you told me to come up, brother. And by
I
the way,
did.
this isn't my first time here. I was on your show once a long
Well,
time ago. We talked about scoring because I got annoyed
Oh,
at the horrible
that's
scoring.
right. That's yeah. I could devote another show entirely to the scoring issues, right?
If you don't
But
understand
no, as you were
if you don't
TBH,
speaking
understand
of,
let's fair.
10.1.
oh, real quick, hey, you know what? Speaking of which, I did go back and watch that Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather fight. Uh, it was way closer than what the judges had it and what most people were looking at. I had that fight 116, 113 for Floyd. By the way, I watched that the other day.
Wait. Which fight was this again, sir? I'm sorry.
Oh, Floyd and Manny.
Floyd Manning. Yeah.
I had it. I had it 116 worth 113 when I thought Floyd won on by more rounds, but when I rewatched it this last time and slowed down and looked at all the punches that were landed, I think that Pacquiao won more rounds than what people said he won. And I think it was much closer than what the judges had it.
Oh, you know what, TBH, and if you're just looking at clean, effective punches landed, and once again, there's a subjective part of it, the scoring process, subjective, or it's effective. Clean, effective, and consequential punches. Are they having a consequence? Are they being effective?
Right.
And that's a subjective part. Now, when you consider now, I'm sorry, what, John?
I've never heard that before ever.
Do you know any judges personally?
No, but I don't.
Okay, then be quiet. Hold on.
If I land a punch,
Be
Joe,
quiet and listen. The adults are speaking right now. No. And you know I'm just joshing with you, John.
Yeah,
but I am trying to make this point. So once again, when you consider a big event and two mainstream guys that they know extremely well, they look at Pacquiao's punch output leading into the event per fight, according to CompuBox, and it's usually very high. When you look at the volume killer, Floyd Mayweather Jr., and consider that Floyd Mayweather actually landed more clean punches over 12 rounds than Manny Pacquiao, yeah, that goes into, well, Pacquiao's just not doing his thing and Floyd isn't letting him. So that lends itself into judges, well, going down to the second tier scoring criteria, which is ring generalship or effective aggression. Which one is doing their thing? And so the great majority of those rounds, yeah, Floyd Mayweather put on that perception in a very subjective process in scoring a fight and created that perception of, yeah, I'm controlling this fight and I'm winning most of these rounds.
You don't get points for whatever that point ring generalship is. I don't even know what that is.
No, that what?
Oh,
hey,
God, dude. You know what, John? I'm gonna say this one more time. I said this on the last show, brother. Are you sure you've been listening to this show for a considerable amount of time? Because we're here to explain the business of it and why certain things happen and why things don't. And once again, you just stated you were on my panel one time talking about scoring. I've explained this process because I do know judges personally, and I've asked them about everything.
Okay? But that doesn't mean that what they're doing is correct, though. And when you're checking out a fighter, what you just said is, you said that I'm going to look at Manny Pacquiao before I judge the guy in a fight, and I'm going to look at what his output is and this kind of thing. And if he comes in, if he doesn't match his output, somehow you're going to use that against him. What kind of crap is that? That's what you just said.
No, I'm saying that they're very familiar with these fighters and understand what they bring to the ring before this. Now, once again, should they do that? They're you know what? That's the way they saw it, and that's the way they scored it. But I will say this once again: the primary scoring criteria is clean, effective, and consequential punches. Right? That's the first and most important.
The WBC, as far as I know, is the only sort of organization that has a sort of set of rules for judges.
Oh my gosh, dude! Oh geez, you know what, brother? Hold on, John. I need to cut you off, brother, because have you heard of the ABC rules of boxing that all sanctioned organizations, okay, adhere to?
Well, that's the rules I'm talking about for judging.
Oh my God, dude! It goes over the judging, brother. Once again, dude.
So what am I
Listen,
supposed to look at when I look at a fight? I'm supposed to try to figure out ring generalship. I'm supposed to try to figure out
I'm going to tell
that
you if
I'm
you.
supposed to try to figure out that a punch
Oh
that hit
Jesus.
Floyd Mayweather in the chin. I'm supposed to try to figure out how effective it was. No,
Yes. Does it
he
have
hit
an
him in the
effect?
chin.
That's
Yeah.
He
oh
hit him in the
geez.
chin. He scored. He hit him
Yep.
in the body. He scored.
Have
It
you
doesn't
No, no,
matter
no,
how
no, no, no,
effective
no.
it is.
Hold on, TBH. John, you're describing an amateur contest when they accounted
Right.
back when amateurs were scored a different way. You know why they don't use that anymore? Because it lends itself to people just using an amateur style back when they, so I'm staying from mid to long range, not having any torque behind it, and just tallying up points on patty cake, pity pat punches. Of course, it has to be a consequence and effect. Okay, power means a lot. Without saying it, okay, a more specific or encompassing way of saying it is effectiveness. Consequence. Did it have a consequence on your opponent? But when you look at the 3 judging scoring criteria, number 1, most importantly, is clean, effective, and consequential punches. Now, if you can't determine, a judge has told me this, several have. Go ask Steve Weisfeld. He says this exactly. Now, if you can't tell who carries the round by that first criteria, then you resort to your second level scoring criteria, because he explained it this way. There's a very good chance that if you can't tell who wins from clean, effective, and consequential punching, that you'll be able to tell whose work was more effective by the one who displays better ring generalship or effective aggression. In other words, who's controlling the pace, who's controlling the distance, right? And that's how you score a round.
Mm.
Facts.
The only way you score points is by landing punches. That's
Oh
it.
shit, dude.
I don't care about. And look, they can lay down all
Then
this.
I tell you
They
what.
can
I
lay
tell
down
you what. Then.
all the new stuff that they want to. It doesn't
Oh, good
matter to me.
Lord.
I know how to score a fight. I know how to
You know what,
watch a
John?
fight.
You know what, John? I'm
and
gonna
tell
have
you
to
who
do
won.
this, brother. I'm gonna have to do this.
Well,
And
what you're
say,
saying,
have,
Joseph, is you're saying
uh,
that a guy that doesn't have any power, he's just shit out of luck because he's not going to have any effective punches. That's what you're saying.
No, I'm saying he's got to do a lot more, brother. He's got to do a lot more. He's got to work harder, both with his feet and with his punch
Just because he
placement.
lacks power.
You have to, once again. Now let's give an example, right? Let's give an example. Look at Floyd Mayweather versus Canelo, right? Look at that fight. That is a masterclass of controlling distance, winning the fight with your jab alone, right? Turning him every time he tries to close the distance. Floyd Mayweather didn't have the comparable power of Canelo Alvarez, but when you don't give someone a chance to land it, yeah, puts him in checkmate. And he shut him down from start to finish. It was a one-sided mismatch. Now, here's another example. When you look at Paulie Malignaggi when he first won his IBF title against Lovemore Ndu, very good fighter, much stronger fighter, and Paulie froze his counterpunching ass. There's so many, like John, I'm shocked, man. Do you watch this sport? I mean, really watch the sport. And once again, I'm surprised you haven't ascertained this from listening to our show. It's shocking, actually, brother.
What ascertain what exactly? I've heard
How
you guys
to score a
talk about
fight?
it.
How to actually intelligently break
Yeah, I know
down a
how to
fight?
score
What's
a fight,
happening in
man.
the ring?
I know how to score a fight. I watch the round and I say who won, and then I write it down.
Okay, what criteria are you using?
If I don't know who won the round, I mark it even. The criteria I'm using is I just ask. That's the only question I ask myself: who won the round? Because that's all that matters.
Oh boy!
And so you just watch it and you go, who won the round? It's not hard, man. Little kids can score boxing matches.
Oh boy! You know what?
All you got to do. See, you're going to put all this. What you're trying to do is you're trying to put objective criteria onto a subjective activity, and it ain't going to fly, man. It's purely subjective.
Look, brother. All I can say is this: then, if that's what you use, then go watch amateur fights because that's more your speed.
Why? I'm always right on my fights. What's the difference?
My gosh, you're always right on your fights.
I doubt that very seriously.
Right. Now, look. Once again, I said this. Go watch amateur fights, the old ones anyway, because that's how you score amateur fights, by tallying up how many punches they land. That's it. Doesn't matter about power.
So in pro fights, you tally up how bad they hurt a guy. That's the difference.
Well, Harold Letterman told me this. He was the unofficial ringside scorer, and he basically summed everything up to where most casuals and mainstream fans could understand it. He said, no, you know what? You just look at how much one fighter, how much more damage he does, and that's it. And you know what? That's basically simplifying everything in a very not so simple process. Now, once again, this process has been made to try and give every fighter a fighting chance to win a round. It's not so simple because once again, you just said it. If one guy is bringing a baseball bat to the ring and you've got pillow fists like Paulie Malignaggi. Now, once again, he was fighting Lovemore and Dew, and he put on a masterclass, froze him from start to finish, and he won his first major world title. So once again, this scoring process, the one I just explained to you, gives all fighters a fighting chance to win that fight, even if they're not packing the same, punching with the same torque, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. But John, I tell you what, we've already been an hour in. And thank you for the comic relief, brother. And once again, please listen to what we're saying on the channel. We are here. We are here for everyone to try. And once again, we've been in this business for a very long time.
Well, you brought up, you've been in it long enough to know that you already got Spence Crawford wrong at least once when you told everybody, trust me, guys, when it was going to happen before. And now you're back on the Spence Crawford bandwagon again.
I'm not talking about it. I did say one. Yes, it's going to get made.
It's going to happen.
Yep.
Everybody got that wrong, though, John. Everybody got that wrong. Come on.
You know what, John? Once again, thank you for the comic relief. You know what? Whatever you're smoking, keep doing it. You're enjoying. I hope you enjoy the rest of the program. God bless you, brother.
I can get you some better stuff, but it's all good.
That was funny.
Yeah.
Like I said, guys, I'm actually taken aback, right? Because John has been a very, very good guy and a very a reliable supporter of the program, and it's actually quite shocking. And what we profess on this show, that he hasn't learned any more than he has. It's shocking, man. And I'm actually disappointed, man. Hold on, guys. I need to go back and my apologies. My brother Kamikaze, thank you for supporting the program. He says, I want whatever John Smith is smoking. Oh, geez. Yeah, guys, I'm my apologies for that, guys. And I'm genuinely disappointed because he has been listening to the program for a while. And yeah, you would, once again, we profess and we're here for you guys. And if you have any questions about anything, please fire. I'm sorry, Poodle, you haven't spoken about anything. How are you doing, my friend? And are you ready to see Canelo versus Ryder tomorrow? We need to start talking about that a little bit more.
Right. I've been doing good, Joseph, a long time, since I've been on the panel. I hope you're doing well. BH, hope you're doing well as well. I just wanted to kind of close out the scoring stuff. This is not for everybody. Like for me, I'm a boxing like a nut. So like for me, like a lot of fans disagree, with a lot of scoring, like as have I. But for me, I wanted to see like the perspective of the judges. Like not everybody gets that. Like you can get a pretty good, like as you, like me, like Harold Letterman taught me a lot, throughout the years, but I mean, Harold Letterman doesn't break it down like, he breaks it down very well. But like for me personally, and this just happened, the WBC started doing like courses on refereeing, on judging. So I actually signed up for the judging course, and it breaks down like step by like
Great,
bit by bit,
man.
like what the judges are required, or what they like, the guidelines of what they're supposed to be looking at on how they score, on how they score a fight,
Yep.
And it was a really good course. I'm glad I took it. I didn't take it like I never want to become a judge, man. I mean, that's like a thankless job. I think, these guys be getting murdered sometimes, but at least, it gave me a perspective of what they're looking at. And I mean, it's a lot to take in,
It is. And look, I don't envy the job of judges in certain matchups, certain fights, right? And you're exactly right. It's a thankless endeavor at times. It's like being an ump in MLB. No one likes the ump. No one
I
likes
don't.
these judges. No,
I hate,
everyone
I hate
hates
them.
them, and everyone blames them if their favorite fighter loses.
exactly.
But that it's when it's not by knockout, right?
Exactly.
But I will say this, man. You should pursue it if you're really interested.
Yeah,
Like
I just
really.
wanted to see. Yeah, for sure.
You know what? If you don't mind me asking, what state do you live in, brother?
I live in California.
Okay, you know what? California always needs great judges. And you've got someone like Jack Reese who coaches everyone from the amateur level to the pro level. You really should pursue that. Boxing needs more guys like you involved.
Yeah. I just wanted to see what they see, and then like I don't know. I just like I like to. I'm anal about like anything that I like, kind of like I'm interested in, and boxing has always been like a passion of mine. So I just like and then like the fan. We have the perspective of the camera angles. Like we get to see every single angle.
That's right. And when you're limited at one side of the ring,
Mm-hmm.
well, to me, it's an antiquated process. In my opinion, they should have the benefit of seeing what the fans are seeing from
Exactly.
from three different angles. You get a better understanding, and now it makes sense since you took that class, and you understand now why certain judges. Not only is it such a subjective process, but you could be facing the opposite direction of where the action is on one side of the ring, right? And so
Exactly.
that lends a lot, that variable lends a lot in your positioning in how you score a fight as well. And so that's a very good point, and thank you for bringing that up, because most fans don't realize that. That's what I'm saying. It's an antiquated process, in my opinion. They should have a monitor and set up on basically seeing what the fans are seeing. You get a more complete depiction of the action that way. A very good point, my friend. But I will say this, though. Seriously consider getting involved, because, once again, the sport needs knowledgeable and passionate people involved.
I agree.
And plus, you got the best seat in the house, brother.
Yeah, man. I agree, man. I agree. I definitely agree.
So the
But yeah, no,
process
this
is
is
the way they start you out. The way they start you out is they have you scoring amateur contests, and if you're accurate, and you're consistent, then they slowly move you up to the pros, club level, then regional level, then small elite level fights. Yeah, and if you notice, the three proven most consistent and reliable judges always get the big events now: Steve Weisfeld, Tim Cheatham, and Glenn Feldman. All three of them you can put in the bank. They're all three going to be there on the biggest events.
facts.
So once again, man, it's a subjective process, but I hate hearing cries of robbery. Oh, these judges are terrible. These fights are fixed. No, man. No state athletic commission or no sanctioning organization or no network wants that kind of talk surrounding their event, and it's a sport, right?
Yeah.
They don't want to be surrounded by talks of corruption. No one wants that. So everyone has the fighter's best interest at heart, and more specifically, the sport's best interest at heart, the health of the sport. So what are we going to see? I'm sorry, TBH, go ahead, sir.
Oh, I just wanted to say, Ryan Garcia. That's all I got to say.
Oh boy!
about
Oh, you had to bring that clown up again.
Clown.
Chingo.
Now he's a clown. Well, what did he do? What did he do that was clownish?
Oh gosh, no.
Quit.
No. You know
I
what?
mean, I get a
I
little
don't.
defensive because, like, I like him. I like Ryan, but I mean, like, but yeah, continue.
You know what? I liked Ryan too. I had the pleasure of meeting him and Joe Goosen, and as well as his dad, and they're seemingly good people, right? But I will say this: after what he did, and after what he's done to Joe Goosen, yeah, in my mind, he's a clown now. You've got the biggest event of your life. You've got the fight of your life coming up, and you only spend 2 days a week with Joe Goosen preparing for your most difficult opponent to date. Someone who's a complete fighter, right?
I hear you.
And dude, and then you sack the guy? right after, because the fight doesn't go your way? Shit. I'm sorry. He lost all credibility with me. And coupled with the fact that he looked like he was happy that the fight was over. Brother, you have that many people purchasing your damn fight. And even if you don't have, even if you have an injury going into it, what fighter doesn't have an injury going into a damn prize fight? Dude, I talked to so many fighters over the last 20 years that have insisted that, you know what, if I don't have an injury going into a fight, at least some lingering ailment, then I think maybe I didn't train hard enough.
That's what
Guys,
hey,
these
Joseph,
guys,
I can confirm that. I can confirm
yes,
that because that's what they say in both boxing and MMA. All fighters have said this same thing. And if you train, you know, yeah, you're gonna get hurt. Something gonna break eventually.
Yep, something. And once again, I go back to the great Jesse James Leha, someone who he had a work ethic like maybe less than 1% of everyone that I've ever met. He was a workhorse. This guy, you know what? And I know he cringes now every time he thinks about Ryan Garcia in that fight. Brother, you were given these gifts by the grace of God that I would only dream to have. The speed, the power. And you squander it. You squander it, man. It's like, dude, I had to work my ass off for everything that I was able to accomplish in the hard-ass business of boxing. I beat a Zuma Nelson, damn it. You know, and you want, once again, you go back to Jesse James Leha, and he always told me, you know what, the mindset just to get me through these grueling camps is that I had the mindset that I got paid to train. Now, the reality is, if you don't show up to the fight, then you don't get paid. The only sport in existence where if you don't show up to the game, you don't get paid, right? I'm not under contract. Even if I am under contract, I don't get paid unless I make it to the fight. Mm-hmm. But he said, in my mind, I got paid to train because that's when you take the most punishment, a grueling 6 to 8 week camp. And he goes, man, that's why I had to retire. I just couldn't put my body through that any longer. He said the time of recovery just took longer and it was painstaking. And I just could not put myself through that again.
Tough sport.
He said, but I love fight nights. That's where all the lights, the cameras are. That's where all your people are happy to see you. You're dressed up. You're on the spotlight. That's the fun part. He said the camps where no one is there. Boy, these guys whoop your ass. And you want them to whoop your ass. You want them to give you that hard work. So it makes the fight easier. Right? Mm-hmm. And that was Jesse James Leha. They told me that 15 years ago.
No, I hear you guys. I was frustrated as well. You know.
But going back to Canelo Alvarez, once again, guys, the reason for this fight and the reason why Eddie made it a homecoming, right, is just to give that confidence back to Canelo Alvarez. He does not want his superstar, one of the big five, I like to call it in boxing, is guys, in reality, there are only 5 big breadwinners who are real fighters, not YouTube cocksuckers. Pardon my French. It's Canelo, Gervonta Davis, Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, and now you can say Ryan Garcia, maybe. But I doubt it if he's going to be able to pull that same interest after this. Now, those guys are legitimate draws anywhere. Like, you have regional guys like Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence Jr., who attract a lot of fans in their home area. But you can't stick them in England or you can't stick them in New York City and expect them to pack the house. It doesn't happen. So they're only, let's say, big 4. So now you've got Canelo Alvarez. He draws everywhere, right? Yep. He's a big, big superstar. And so, oh my gosh, he didn't have a great year. In fact, he got beaten soundly, decisively. So let's give him some confidence. I know we're running the risk of maybe getting lesser pay-per-views in this one because let's face it, how many big mainstream media outlets in America are willing to go to the mountains, high altitude of Mexico to cover this fight, especially a matchup that, more, let's face it, mainstream outlets have never heard of John Ryder. Man, that doesn't make him a bum, right? No. But what are your thoughts on this matchup? In my opinion, this pay-per-view is going to tank. It'll be fortunate, especially after the experience that a lot of people had if they ordered Davis versus Garcia on DAZN. A lot of people were disappointed, right? A lot of people were disappointed. Okay, hold on. Let me get this. Canelo needs confidence. Every fighter gets shaken if, well, they lose soundly. Look at Deontay Wilder with Glovegate. That guy was brimming with confidence, right? Brimming with confidence. He couldn't believe that someone like who he claimed to be Pillow Fist knocked his ass until tomorrow. He couldn't believe it. So he listened to his delusional fans and rolled with that Glovegate thing. Well, his confidence was obviously shaken. Right?
Couldn't handle it. Yeah.
Look at Anthony Joshua. Okay? He hasn't been the same since the Andy Ruiz debacle. After getting knocked the fuck out by, little pudgy Snickers man. Yeah, he was embarrassed and he became unconfident. Guys, this is a difficult sport, right? The hardest sport in existence, in my opinion. And look, let me just tell you from example. Like ever since I had, and this is an example of a traumatic experience. If you believe that you're incapable of losing, especially getting knocked out, it does something to you. Like, I'll tell you, I haven't been the same since I was in a horrific car accident and I broke my knee or broke my hip, broke my pelvis, tore up my ACL. And I had an extensive surgical procedure, and it took me 10 months until I could actually walk and play on stage again. Right? And since then, being in that horrific, traumatic car accident, I don't drive any longer. Like, in fact, if I go on a road trip somewhere out of town, I start freaking out. It becomes a very, like, anxiety starts building up within me.
Makes sense.
That's how traumatic it was. And that's what a life-changing event it was. And for these fighters who believe that they can't lose, who believe they're the best in boxing, well, they start thinking differently. So when I say Canelo needs confidence, after that ass whooping by Bivol, losing decisively, yeah, he needs a confidence builder because you didn't see that against Golovkin. So yes, Eddie Hearn's doing the right thing. Thank you for asking that, brother. I'm and allowing me to explain it. So again, if he's demanding the Bivol rematch, well, yeah, if you're Eddie Hearn, you're going to give this to him. This is a style matchup that is favorable to the sharpshooting counterpuncher. I will say this, Budo. How do you see the fight playing out, brother?
Ryder and Canelo?
Yes, sir.
I see it. I think Canelo, does his thing. I think it's at the end of the day, it's a levels thing. Like Ryder, I believe is an excellent fighter. Like he gave Callum Smith all he could handle, Danny Jacobs all he could handle. It was a good opponent. It satisfies a mandatory requirement or whatever. And like you said, it's he's coming off of a surgery or whatever. I didn't expect him to go straight into like a Bivol rematch or whatever. He's got I'm sure he's probably he's got like, oh shit, how's his hand gonna hold up? But it's also not like a cakewalk, like a walk in the park, we could say it is because of what Canelo brings to the table, his skill set, and the level difference between Ryder and him. But at least it's not, like it's something. I think it touches all the bases. I think Canelo gets him out of there like mid to late round stoppage. But I also think that just obviously you can't get into the mindset of Ryder, but he doesn't look like he came over here to, just to like lay down,
No. Ryder's a warrior, man. What he lacks in athletic gifts, natural athletic gifts, he makes
Mhm.
up for in work ethic and willpower.
Mhm.
And he's earned this spot. And when everyone
Exactly.
counted him out, when he got a lot of losses on his record early,
Mhm.
he's a guy like I compare to Mexican veteran Orlando Salido. He's a guy who is learning on the job.
hmm One of my
And boy, yeah. There's what's not to like about Orlando Salido?
everything. I mean, like he's to me like Salido and fighters like him are the embodiment of like why I like boxing. Like literally like nothing was given to him.
Yep,
Pretty much. How the business of boxing works out. Like he was used early in his career as just like a punching bag for more
yep,
experienced fighters. But at the end of the day, like because of like his upbringing, I don't know if you guys knew it. Like he was abandoned by his parents at like 13.
yeah,
He was
man,
like
yeah,
raising himself. Came into boxing probably as a last resort, and at the end of the day, he kept at it, kept chipping away. Started learning from each of his defeats and stuff like that. Ended up ended up getting a big win versus a fighter that nobody thought he would beat in his hometown. And it's just like to me those type of fighters like will always like I'll never like abandon boxing because those I know those type of fighters exist. You know.
yep. And all you have to do is just go to a big gym in your hamlet or metropolitan area, and you hear stories about that all the time. Hey, boxing saved my life.
Yeah, man.
I was a terrible kid. I didn't have a great upbringing, and I was on the streets. And coach recruited me and said, "Hey, man, don't be fighting for free. I'll teach you how to fight, and you'll use this discipline and apply it in your own life." And it always works. And that's a beauty of boxing, guys. Look at Gervonta Davis, who was just sentenced to 90-day home arrest. Right?
hmm
Look where he would be without boxing. And look where he would be to that guardian angel, Calvin Ford. Coach Calvin is a brilliant mentor. He's such a good man.
I think a coach.
And the sport needs more more guys like Coach Calvin involved in the sports. And listen to this. I just found out that Gervonta Davis, one of the stipulations in this home arrest was that he's going to be staying with Coach Calvin.
That's good.
Yep, it's great for him. Let's hope he learns the error of his ways and starts getting better habits, right? Between fights with Coach Calvin living in his house again. Yeah. So I tell you what, congratulations to Coach Calvin. Great guy, great for the sport. We'll see what happens, guys, right? Yes, at this time, and once again, welcome back, TBH. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce Bruce Gatz, Boxing Jazz and more. Bruce, how you doing, my friend?
Joseph, salute, brother. Salute. Boxing
salute to you, my brother.
Puro, how you doing, guys?
Bruce, what up?
I tell you what, guys. We apologize that we've kind of, gone off the beaten path, right? But, yeah, I had to take care of that. Like, I was actually shocked. I expected more from John. Not for him to call guys bums. Ching out, dude. Holy. So I'm going to ask you this. Here's our main event topic. Bruce, do you think Canelo Ryder is going to resemble Chavez versus Haugen in 1993?
Now you're taking me back just a little tiny bit, but not for the build-up, because if you remember, I don't know how old you are, Joseph, but I was in my prime in '93, bro.
So I remember, brother. I wasn't in my prime, but I was in college. Yes.
But Greg Haugen was very well known. He had national television exposure several times, and there was a war of words between these two. Haugen was telling me anything with Mexican cab drivers, and I mean, Chavez was licking his chops. 50,000 plus. I mean,
it was 132,000. And yes, I remember he was calling them Tijuana cab drivers. That's right. Very good memory, brother. Tijuana cab drivers.
Yeah, so
Oh,
there was
geez.
a lot of national pride there. I don't feel this in this fight. I think it's more of a gentlemanly, and the fans are happy to have Chavez come back to his hometown and fight. And I don't feel the heat like I did back then, because there was some real heat. Greg Haugen, he was a nasty little bastard. I don't know if you remember him, man.
From Vegas. Yep.
Oh, I was talking to Vinny Paz a few months ago, and he said right now if he saw Greg Haugen on the street, he'd choke him out.
I believe that.
Hey, well, you know what? Hey, Bruce, you know where Greg Hagen's from, right?
Yes, sir.
Seattle, baby.
He is from Seattle.
Oh, originally he's from Seattle. No kidding.
Yeah. I think he lived in Renton.
Wow.
Used to live in Renton. Yep.
So
and-
I remember. Do you remember what Greg Haugen how he described the crowd? How hostile they were to him after all the shit talk.
Bro, you got to remember, Greg Haugen was a 2-division champion also.
Yep, he was an accomplished fighter. That's right.
Gave Camacho his first loss.
Yep, and you know what? He was so egotistical and said, "Oh yeah, I could beat this chump. Oh man, it'll be easy work. This guy's not proven. Only been fighting Tijuana cab drivers. Man, he's not used to seeing guys at my level." And after all the shit talk, and once again, he did a great job building up the animosity for this fight. But boy, those Mexican fans, they hated him as well. Like, he described people throwing bottles of piss at him when he was walking out of the ring. Yeah, no, that's true story. That's true. So once again, I don't think fans are of that nature any longer. Since the advent of the internet and social media, I think the world has gotten smaller, where people treat other people with more respect from different nationalities or ethnicities. But yeah, they're not going to welcome him with open arms. And once again, Sean, he says this, and I respect Sean. He's a fighter and very insightful. He says, no, he doesn't need any confidence. Well, then this serves as a rangefinder to understand where his mentality is and how that hand's doing, right? This is a solid rangefinder. Does it deserve to be on pay-per-view? No. No, not at all. But thank you for being here, Sean, and wish you would. Well, it's already getting late, man. It's already almost 9. Can you believe it?
Oh yeah, you guys are on the East Coast, huh?
No, I'm in Central Time Zone. It's 8:30 where you are, isn't it?
Nah, it's 6:30.
Oh,
6:30 in California.
Ah, man.
9:30 where I was at.
Oh yeah, you're on Providence, right? Providence, Rhode Island.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I tell you what, man. And that's another guy who was an unsung hero of the sport. And I love Peter Manfredo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Manfredo, yeah.
Yeah, he was from Providence, Rhode Island. He's from Providence, Rhode Island.
I speak to Peter on occasion. Nice guy.
Yeah, he and his dad are good people, aren't they?
Yeah. He got out of boxing. He went right to the union. He drives to Boston every day. It's about a 50-mile drive. He makes over $100,000 salary plus overtime. He says he loves it. He doesn't regret leaving boxing, but he's got some great stories too, man. I mean, he fought for the world title. Joe Calzaghe, and I mean, he's got a great record too. And he's another one. Rhode Island's got some pretty decent boxers around here, bro.
Yeah, you know what, Demetrius Andrade also, but that's my point, and I brought up to John McSmith when he was on the show. I'm like, these guys, the guys that you call bums, are the unsung heroes of the sport. They don't come home to any fanfare. They don't come home to a festival or a parade, and they're more than likely never going to become a world champion. But they really keep the sport afloat. They're, I know, viewed as by most fans as just being opponents. But in order for this clock to run, they are one of the most important cogs that make this business run. And you know what? My hat's off to them. Guys like Peter, guys like Brian Vetta, guys who are warriors who would give their lives for our entertainment. And no one remembers them. No one sings their praises, but they're warriors nonetheless. And my hat's off to them. They're such an integral part of this business.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, I'm going to call it a night. And I want to get all of your prediction, guys. on this fight and what round, call it if you think there's a stoppage or you think John Ryder has the mental and physical durability to give Canelo some rounds or take him the distance. Start with Puro. How do you see his fight playing out, and what's the result?
I see the fight being a nice little entertaining fight, in the beginning, and then Canelo takes over mid round and gets him out of there, mid to late stoppage, like I was saying earlier. And I just wanted to add about the question, like about the title of the show, about does it compare to Haugen Chavez? For me, just for me, because I'm Mexican, like, and this is what brings the most appeal in this fight for me, is that for me, I still remember Chavez Haugen. I was 12 at the
Yep.
time, and so it's been about 20 years since since literally that there's been a Mexican fighter that's like the face of boxing, that like literally like for me it's very simple when you're talking about the face of boxing, like literally, like when anybody talks about boxing, they think about who represents the sport right now. And at that time, it was Mike Tyson, but then he went to jail, and then Chavez took over with the big Meldrick Taylor wins and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
But at the end of the day, like for me, just for the way my fandom is for Mexican boxing, the way I was like raised in how I view Mexican boxing, it's that's like what brings me the most excitement. I haven't seen something like this in 20 years, where like literally like the number one fighter in the sport, it comes back to Mexico and gives their fans, whether we believe the fighter has a chance or not, he's given kind of like a like he's not just about saying "Viva Mexico, cabrones" after every win. Like he's trying to like actually like this is for you guys. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
it. Yep,
Yeah.
that's it. Cabrones.
Yeah, and for sure. No, and I get emotional when he says that type of shit, man. Because like, trust me,
No,
it's been a long time
let me
since
ask
we've
you
seen this
something,
type of
Puro.
shit.
Let me
Yes, sir.
once
Talk
again,
to me.
Puro Mexicano as well, brother.
Órale.
Let me ask you something. Did you get emotional and start getting choked up when you saw the intro to the Billy Joe Saunders fight in Dallas?
Yeah,
God, that
yeah,
was,
because
in my opinion, that was by far the best intro I've ever seen. With Pepe Aguilar and his daughter singing, dude, that was amazing.
no, it was.
Like, I
I
hope, and that's one of the things I look forward to this event. And guys, I urge all of you to support your beloved boxing and get this fight, because one, it's going to be a great fight. It's going to be a great event, and I really look forward to the fanfare. Eddie Hearn never disappoints when he puts on that huge intro for Canelo, and I can't wait to see it. I love it. To me, that's part of the allure of the event, the pageantry, the
Exactly.
colors, the introductions. Oh, it's just part of the big event. And in Mexico, it's going to be beautiful. But yeah, Puro, thank you for being on this panel, brother. I really appreciate it, man. And I encourage you, please think about seriously contributing and getting involved with the California State Athletic Commission.
Yeah, I'll give it a big think, bruh. But yeah, no, for sure. Thank you for having me, Joseph. My pleasure.
God bless you, my friend. Enjoy the fights tomorrow.
Thank you.
TBH,
God bless all of y'all.
what are your thoughts on this event? How's it going to play out? And who do you see winning and when?
Oh, I got John Ryder by upset.
You're not serious, are you? No, you're joking, aren't you? Okay. Hence the chuckle afterwards. My apologies, bro.
No, I mean, it would be nice it would be nice for a bet. I'm not gonna lie, but
well, one of the variables that we didn't touch on, okay, is Canelo's head still in this game? Okay, that's once again, that's one of the reasons for this fight, for this event, to see where Canelo is right now. Is he still mentally in the game? Is he focused more on golf? Is his hand back to snuff? Up to snuff? Is it? So that's one of the things to look out for. Is John Ryder, is he more mentally and physically durable? He's never been a part of an event at this level. Is he one of those fighters that gets the most of himself the bigger the event gets?
Yeah, I think Canelo and John Ryder is going to be entertaining for a good 7 rounds, but I think the disparity of the skill set and then in the ability, in the mindset and the IQ of Canelo Alvarez is going to take over in the later rounds. And I think that, I wouldn't be surprised if John Ryder was up on the scorecards, but barely, But I think he's going to stop him in the later rounds. Accumulation of body, the accumulation of damage to the head, the left hook, and then he's just going to pour it on him and try to get him out of there. And that's what I see happening. I see between a 10 and 11 round stoppage for Canelo Alvarez. I mean, but then again, it could be earlier, because I don't know how. I've never seen John Ryder take a big punch, really. So
that's it. Well, we're gonna find out tomorrow. Where Canelo is in this. We're gonna find out if John Ryder can take the heat. We're gonna find out if the altitude doesn't affect him physically and mentally. Right? We're gonna find all of that out tomorrow, and I'll be live calling the fight with my brother. So thank you, TBH, for being here tonight, brother. We appreciate you being here. It's been long overdue, my friend. Come back and join us sooner rather than later, brother.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. Salute Joseph and salute Bruce and everybody in the chat.
God bless you, my friend. Thank you. You have a wonderful weekend. Bruce, what are you talking about this fight, my friend? Is it going to be worth your time, brother?
Well, I've said it a million times. A couple of bums going at it in the alley is worth my time.
Woo! I love it.
So yeah, I'll be sitting right here watching it, but I'm looking at this as levels. I think Canelo is just on a different level, and plus he's got the country behind him. I think he's going to be psyched. I think it's going to be an easy payday for him. And Ryder is lucky to be there. I think Canelo may carry him a few rounds, but I think he'll be able to put him away at will. And the greatest Mexican pre-match ceremonies in my lifetime was the Salvador Sanchez Wilfredo Gomez.
Oh gosh, what a great matchup.
Yeah, so man, great heritage, man. And like I said, Canelo is going into this, I think, he's going into this like a Marine with his chin up as a patriot, and I think he's going to really put on a show tomorrow night.
Well, I tell you what, for the health of boxing, let's hope that that's the case. Not disparaging or not discounting John Ryder in this, because he's a gallant warrior who, once again, takes punishment for our entertainment. That can't be discounted, and he is a world-class fighter who worked his ass off to get to this point. How it plays out? Well, I'll give you my final prediction and my odds, my sexy bet. We're going to tell you that tomorrow, guys, before the broadcast. So, Bruce, I want to thank you for joining us, brother. You're always a joy to speak with, and I love your passion for the sport. God bless you, my friend, and you have a wonderful Friday evening, brother.
You too, brother. Peace.
God bless you, my friend. Guys, that's just good. Gonna just about do it. Once again, please join me for the fight coverage. We're going to start at 8 p.m. Central Time tomorrow. God bless all of you, and thank you for being part of this broadcast, either on the chat or on the panel. God bless all of you. And once again, the song that's going to close us out is a song that we're producing with my son. It should be out in about 3 weeks, remastered. Yeah, God bless all of you guys. His name of his band is Roshi, Roshii. Once again, I'm Joseph Heron. You've been listening to WARWeek Radio. Have a wonderful evening, everybody.
This
FightSaga.com and Halftime Pizza proudly present WAWR Radio Chats with ring announcer and commentator Joseph Heron.